the students are so into it. It's really great. And it makes it easy for me to teach them the Wilcoxon sign rank test and have them do non-parametric statistics and develop functional requirements and all the things I need them to do when they're actually doing something that they're interested in. Let me tell you something else. I have no idea why students pee on those bushes. But the students do. But Professor Bass, we're leaving Foxfield, and there's 2 roads out of Foxfield, and they're filled with traffic, and we're in our chartered bus, and then somebody's in a pickup truck in front of us, and they're stuck in traffic, and they have to go to the bathroom, and they're not going to get home for an hour and a half, and there's no bathrooms for them to go, and what are they supposed to do? And so they get out of the car, and it's not their fault. There's nowhere to go, and we're like, what if I on the way? Wow, we could actually do something with that. So I can analyze the data, and I can identify patterns, but I have no idea why they're happening. And the students who are experts in student culture actually teach me, and then they're actually part of the game. And I'm not actually teaching them. They're actually teaching me. And it's a collaborative teaching going on in both directions. So one of the things we do in engineering is we give our students a senior design opportunity. And in every engineering program does this. You can't get accredited if the students don't have a senior design project. In our department, we do this thing called the capstone, where we have groups of 3 to 6 students work on a problem, either with an industrial sponsor or it's part of our research program and we get our research sponsor involved. But they're actually supposed to do something meaningful for a real end user. So my real end user is Susie. So our client, the one that we're doing our work for, is the Center for Alcohol and Substance Education. And she's our client. And we do this work in a 2-semester sequence where the students actually have to do this capstone for a full year. And then when they're done, they've passed 2 courses and they're finished. But that's not enough for our students. Not only do we make them do the 2 courses, we actually make them write a conference paper, and we run a conference at UVA that's sponsored by the IEEE, and we invite other universities to submit papers, and we have our students do presentations. So I'm going to tell you about a capstone that I was going to run, and actually did run in 2005-2006, developing a synthetic vision system. And I'm not going to go into the details, but what you're looking at is, on the left side, is a picture of a computer-generated terrain with some flight deck stuff on top of it. And on the right side, you see 2 two-dimensional displays. One is a top-down view, and one's a vertical slice, showing you that to the left of you there's some terrain, and ahead of you there's some terrain. So I had a student working on this project, and this is the only sad part of my talk, so let me just say, but I'll tell you how I got into this. So Neil is just a wonderful guy. He was one of my capstone students, and he just wasn't performing. And I checked his transcript. He was an excellent student. He was missing meetings. He was not doing what he was told. He was just not performing, and I couldn't really understand what was going on. And I'm not used to that. Our students at UVA are awesome. Even the terrible ones are, 92 percentile. They're not 98 percentile. What a shame. I couldn't understand what was going on, so I called him into my office, and I found out that right at the end of the semester, his very good friend had passed away from binge drinking, and he was just a total mess. And then I was a total mess, and of course I'm an engineering professor, and what the heck do I know what to do with a student who's a total mess? So I happened to, the next day, idiosyncratically ran into one of the faculty that worked in the Dean of Students office and was telling her my story and how I was very concerned about this student. And those of you who knew Shamim, she said, well, why don't you call Case and talk to Susie? And I thought, oh, what a good idea. Maybe we could get Neil to do something, sort of mothers against drunk driving. That was my only, thing that I could think of. Oh, well, you can't bring the student back, but maybe they could do something, and I don't know. And of course, my department thought this was a terrible students, it's not racist. To the students, it's bottles of alcohol and, trying to find a place to go to the bathroom. That's it. And the students actually don't ever look at the horses, don't even know there's horses. They go to this every year and they're like, oh, there's horses at Foxfield. I had no idea. I just thought it was a binge drinking opportunity. It's not a UVA function. UVA hadn't been studying it, and it's just been this problem where students go to and from this event and they're just not prepared. And so Neil had a girlfriend at the time who had gone to Foxfield, and some drunk person actually fell on her and broke her wrist. And so he was particularly interested in Foxfield, as was Susie. And I was like, oh, Foxfield races, what are they? Well, now I know a lot about the Foxfield races, but I, at the time, didn't, but thought it was a great idea. So, after getting some IRB approval, we decided that we were going to do a survey, which, collect our baseline data, as we're supposed to do. And that's when I first learned about the whole approach. And we beta tested it in my class and Susie's class, and Neil got permission to do it at his fraternity, and he ended up writing a paper on this. At the end of the year, the Foxfield races occurred, and we collected the data. Of course, he couldn't analyze it in time for graduation. So the next year, we decided to make another case, and we took the data from the real races and gave those to our students as part of this class that I teach on system evaluation, which is where you evaluate candidate system designs like different interventions. So we have people evaluate whether one poster is better than another. And I had them analyze the data and think about things. This was from the actual homework assignment. We're asking them, are there negative consequences? Are the students well prepared? Like, are they bringing sunscreen? What services are there? Wow, we're doing curriculum infusion because we're making the students think about all this alcohol education in the middle of an engineering course. Oh my goodness, this was great. And the students really got into it. This is an example, this is straight out of their homework, so excuse the tiny fonts, but what it was showing, Brian and Stephen, so we had the students pair up, and they're saying, wow, I think it's unusual that someone's reporting drinking over 120 drinks per week. Now, I'm not saying we don't have alcoholics at UVA. I'm just saying that our students were doing data cleansing and looking in this data and thinking about, well, how many drinks should a person have a week? And boy, that seems really out of line. Here's another group of students, Edward and Brandon, who were looking at comparing, so we got people's weight and their height and different data so we could calculate their blood alcohol. And he was showing through this data that at Halloween, people are drinking such that their blood alcohol content's really high, and since that time we've been studying Halloween as well as Foxfield. This is a slide from that same class where two women, Emily and Monica, they were really interested in negative consequences. And I'm not surprised, there was some data in there showing some sexual advances, some people being pushed and shoved, and these are not particularly large women. So, they got to actually think about issues that are really important to them, and I'm going to mention Monica again in a minute. So you asked me, why do I embrace this? Because I have students doing some really sophisticated data analysis on their own and really enjoying it. Plus, Neil not only analyzed this data for the sample test, but he came back to the conference the following year, and we actually did analyze those Foxfield data using the insights from the students in the class, and he actually came back and reported those at our conference the following year. I don't know how many faculty members can get their